Robert, oh sorry, when you done.
Yeah, so them ones with the A, Robert. Okay.
Yeah.
I said that London's a bit distracting for me, so I was invited to train with Team Usyk. So I've been in Spain. We've been doing some good training out in Spain, and I think he's one of the best in the world. Not I think, he is one of the best in the world, and it's not all down to him. It's also down to his team.
Wardley, I think he can.
Yeah.
And that's what I do think he can. I'm not saying he will, but I do think he can if everything's right. I do think he certainly can.
That's interesting. Because I was curious, I was going to put Fabio Wardley into the equation because the big thing about Fabio, and we'll talk about Fabio Wardley in a bit later on.
Has to be Wardley done it because he has the belts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the problem you got then as well.
Anthony Joshua has officially joined Oleksandr Usyk's camp while preparing for his fight with Jake Paul. Joshua holds deep respect for Usyk, calling him one of the most accomplished fighters of this era. Training alongside someone of Usyk's caliber keeps Joshua locked in, disciplined, and constantly pushing to improve. As the Jake Paul fight approaches, this elite environment is exactly what he needs to stay sharp and focused.
Back to how someone who's achieved so much has been phenomenal, man. It's been a great...
Inside Usyk's camp, Joshua is working closely with highly experienced coaches and sparring partners. He's sharpening everything: footwork, timing, combinations, and defensive movement. Everyone watching him notices the same thing: Joshua is obsessed with getting better. Every session is intense and purposeful. Sparring partners are selected to mimic real in-ring pressure, helping Joshua stay mentally sharp and physically prepared. As fight night gets closer, his training becomes even more precise. Joshua's routine shows he understands one thing clearly: in boxing, progress comes from discipline, consistency, and constant evolution.
I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Oleksandr Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul, isn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do a little bit together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously, after the Usyk fight, he's come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition
Well,
job.
yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helenius, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the box rec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where, what you've just said then, Spencer, like, match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion.
Just
obviously, I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board, and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to getting out and get back to winning ways is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8-rounders.
Yeah.
He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such a commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He always will be in shape. He's never, ever not been...
But it's not about his physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Oleksandr Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been blasted out by Deontay Wilder, and we've seen what...
True Geordie points out that Joshua's move to Usyk's camp isn't just about beating Jake Paul. It's also about preparing for what comes after, especially the possibility of facing Tyson Fury. Usyk has shared the ring with Fury twice. He knows Fury's tricks, his rhythm, his mindset, and how he reacts under pressure. By absorbing knowledge from someone who has dealt with Fury at the highest level, Joshua is investing in his long-term future. His time in camp allows him to study Usyk's movement, strategy, and adaptability, skills that will help him not only against Jake Paul, but in any elite fight ahead. This decision shows Joshua is thinking bigger than one event. He's preparing for the next chapter of his career.
Okay, so but let's talk about what this means for AJ. He's going to Team Usyk. I think personally that is with one eye on the Fury fight. There, like he's like, you clocked Fury. You completely understand everything about him. You fought him twice. You know every weakness, and I need to learn as much as I can from you in a short space of time. It's obviously not for a fucking Jake Paul fight. I think it's more about the Fury fight than it is about Ben Davison having know people like Wardley. I think that's actually the real reason. However, I wouldn't mind seeing Anthony Joshua versus Wardley if AJ can get his mind right.
I believe that's in Feb. I believe that will be the next, because it makes the most sense. When you're trying to match make, I know Frank Warren does not want to put his fighters in together. It makes sense. And the money, we can go straight back to Wembley, and then actually, let's imagine that AJ does beat Fabio. Now we're talking about Fury versus AJ for a belt again. Yeah. It's perfect. So, and this is, I honestly feel this is the road that we're taking. We're all roads lead to
Can I ask you though, do you think they're going to let Fabio in there with AJ before they get the biggest fight possible? Like, they've already fucked up AJ Fury enough times. Well, that's a big risk, right?
Well, the thing is, there's no safe route to a big fight anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? And the fact is, Fabio Wardley will be absolutely down for that fight because that's the biggest payday
that
of his career.
Game as fuck.
Yeah, but it's like, even just on the note of AJ with, the 5th trainer of his career so far, I think he's just disconnected from the idea that I'm going to have a trainer that me and him, and we're buddies and we're tight and we're in the pocket together. I think he's done with that. It's almost like modern basketball teams where they're not loyal to their teams anymore. They trade and they bounce around. The best situation, they just take it. I think he's looking at it like, I'll do a bit of time with you, bit of time with you. We don't need to be best friends and pretend like we've got this father-son relationship. Piss off, bro.
He's
Teach
sponging,
me what you want.
Sponging,
and I'm out.
He's sponging as much as he can up from each individual trainer.
As boxers, do you lot
Eddie Hearn has been brutally honest about the stakes of Joshua versus Jake Paul. He says a loss could damage Joshua's entire legacy and might even push him toward retirement. But despite the pressure, Hearn believes Joshua is fully prepared and completely focused. Joshua isn't treating this like an exhibition. He's training like a world champion, drilling technique, building stamina, strengthening his defense, and preparing for every possible scenario. In Spain, working with Usyk's team, Joshua is fine-tuning every detail. He knows that in boxing, one small mistake can change everything. Hearn emphasizes that Joshua's mindset is mature, disciplined, and laser-focused. Even though he's fighting a crossover superstar, Joshua is treating it with the seriousness of a world title match.
On record saying that you and AJ must retire if Jake Paul wins on December 19th. Stand by that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I suppose so. Shit, yeah. Look, I don't see a world where Jake Paul wins this fight. I know that boxing's boxing. And I mean, what was it? Roy Jones came out this morning and said Jake Paul can win this fight.
Teddy Atlas as well.
Teddy Atlas. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, now I'm a bit worried. I won't retire. AJ should retire if he loses. No.
Sorry.
No, I see AJ winning this fight with ease, comprehensively, destructively, violently, and I don't see a world where Jake Paul is competitive in the fight, let alone win the fight. But luckily, AJ's not preparing in a way that he just thinks it's a joke. He's preparing for Jake Paul like he's a world title contender. Yes, it's been a little bit of a shorter camp. Yes, we've got to make weight this time around, but it doesn't matter. We should just slide through this guy and bash him up and beat him up, and we should do it early doors.
Just lastly, you said as well that you told Nikisa that he was weighing 290 when you were negotiating. What impact did that have? Did you feel like they would have gone even lower if they knew he was weighing 265?
No, I mean, I don't think that when you're negotiating on a weight, there's not one promoter in the world that would tell the truth about what the weight of the fighter was, and Nikisa knows that anyway. So it wasn't like we were being clever, but they wanted him to come to 240. And it's just, don't forget, AJ's never made weight before. So all of a sudden, he's he'd been in camp for, 2 or 3 weeks, and he's probably sitting at, 260, 265.
Gareth A. Davis notes that Joshua looks calm, grounded, and completely in control ahead of the fight. While some bettors are hoping for an upset, Davis gives Jake Paul almost no real chance aside from landing a miracle punch. He acknowledges that boxing can produce surprising moments, which makes this matchup exciting. But realistically, Joshua is the overwhelming favorite. The fight is not only a massive global event, but also a smart business move, with Joshua expected to earn nearly $25 million. Despite the circus-like hype, Joshua's mindset remains steady, focused, and fully professional.